In this video, we're discussing the Greek wines from the region of Neméa and the native grape varietal Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko. We are Tico Tavern Hospitality, educating minds and palates on wine, spirits, and food. If you're familiar with Greek mythology, then the name Neméa might seem familiar. Hercules, as part of his 12 labors, was tasked to bring the skin to King Eurystheus of an invulnerable lion that was terrorizing the hills of Neméa. And of course, spoiler alert, Hercules did it. He actually strangled the lion. And you'll often see Hercules depicted wearing a lion's skin, and it's often thought to be the skin of the Nemean lion. And also, to this day, Nemean wine takes on the nickname Blood of Hercules. Greek wine laws follow European Union guidelines for geographical indications. You'll see on the bottles PDO standing for Protected Designation of Origin, as well as PGI for Protected Geographical Indication. For this video and for the article, we're dealing with the Nemean PDO, so a Protected Designation of Origin for Neméa. The PDO of Neméa was established in 1971. Now, Neméa is found on Peloponnese, which is the large peninsula that hangs from the mainland of Greece. Now, Neméa itself does not have any sub-appellations. However, there are some zones and villages that have started to garner attention. For instance, villages like Koutsi or Aspro-Kambos are known because of their unique terroir and also their elevations. For instance, Aspro-Kambos has vineyards that are planted as high as 2,800 feet. And you'll also oftentimes hear people discuss Neméa based on the zones. And what that means are really, they're talking about the altitudes. So you have the valley floor, which is known for kind of like basic wine. Then you have the middle elevation, which for years was known to produce probably the best grapes, the best vineyards were found there. And then the highest elevation, which in the past, it brought acidity, but it really didn't do anything special. But now, because of modern winemaking techniques and some other influxes that we'll talk about a little bit later, we're really starting to see the highest elevation shine. And, the only grape that can be grown and used for Nemean PDO is going to be the grape Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko. However, there are other grapes that are grown within Neméa that just can't utilize the Nemean PDO, since that is strictly for 100% Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko wines. Neméa is known for its marl and deep red soil. Now, marl is a calcium carbonate mud that has a lot of clay and silt, and marl provides exceptional drainage, which helps to keep yields low. There is limestone throughout Neméa, but it's usually lower than the marl. And earlier we talked about the 3 different zones as far as like the different altitudes going throughout Neméa. And when we think about the valley floor, very fertile, that's why you get a lot of bulk wine. The mid elevation is shallower and rockier, and then the highest elevation actually has the largest amount of marl, and that's really why some fun things are happening there, because you're getting winemakers that are starting to understand how to utilize that unique terroir. The climate of Neméa, in general, is a warm Mediterranean climate. Now, as vineyards are planted higher in elevation, those vineyards become considerably cooler than a lot of the lower valley floor vineyards. So there is that difference based on elevation. Wines labeled with the PDO of Neméa are only allowed to include one grape. That grape, Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko. Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko translates to St. George, and it's often referred to as St. George's grape. Now, Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko is a small berry, very thick-skinned, and really primarily known for its delicious red fruits like strawberry and red cherry. When it's left on the vine to ripen a little bit longer, you'll start to get some black fruits as well, and the tannin will also increase. There's a plethora of wine styles that are coming out of the PDO of Neméa. Now, there's dry wines, medium sweet wines, there's light and easily approachable and youthful wines, all the way to full-bodied and age-worthy wines. And you really just need to be able to talk with your winemonger or sommelier about what kind of wine style you're getting. There's not a lot that come to the U.S., so it really won't be that many to look through. But another thing you can consider is where the alcohol is. Alcohol is going to be a big factor when it comes to the body of a wine. And so things that are 14% and higher are generally going to be more full-bodied, and things that are 13.9% and lower are at least going to be lighter. They might not be a light body depending on where they are, but they're at least going to be probably more of a medium-bodied wine. Now, it's not going to help you with age-worthiness or anything like that. There's so many more things that go into it, but quick little rule of thumb that might help you out when you're looking between two bottles and seeing which one you're going for, whether it is a medium-bodied or a full-bodied version of Neméa. As previously mentioned, there are a lot of different wine styles coming out of Neméa, ranging from the dry to sweet, from light to full-bodied, youthful to age-worthiness. So we really can't get into all the different food pairings. That would take quite a while. So I'm going to just focus on the drier wines and really keeping in mind where the alcohol and body is. So on wines that might be in the medium to lighter bodied, you would want to really showcase that fresh fruit that is coming out. And that would work really well with sauces like a cherry sauce or something on the tomato side that can match with the high acidity. Duck would work well here, other poultry. Really still will be an easy food pairing wine. Then when you jump into some of the larger styles, like the bigger, bolder, and more tannic, that's where you can really just follow the old school rule of bust out the steaks and the hamburgers and lamb and all those fun things that really work well with a big, juicy wine, which the larger versions of this can definitely match up with a great steak. It's an exciting time to be drinking wines from Neméa. Out of any place in Greece, Neméa is having the largest influx of high-tech wineries coming into the area. And then you're also having a lot of young winemakers who have studied abroad in, let's say, like France, the US, that are coming back with more modern winemaking techniques and using that to help their family vineyards or even start new vineyards. And just the quality is increasing really exponentially at a fast rate because of this influx of both capital and human talent, which makes Neméa just an outstanding place to grab wine from. Now it's time to taste some wine, and I'm joined by my lovely wife, Shenandoah. So we're tasting Domaine Skouros's 2017 St. George Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko. They actually put both St. George and Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko on the label. And this is the Domaine's entry-level Nemean wine. We've got a lot of fun things going on here.
Got a lot of lovely red fruit on the nose. Definitely some cherry and strawberry. Say there's also some cedar in there as well.
On the palate, to begin, this is a dry wine. And get some cranberry and sage, and also a little bit of nutmeg.
For acid, my mouth is definitely salivating, so I go with like a medium plus acid. There are softer but still very friendly tannins I'm getting on my upper gums, so probably like a medium tannin.
The alcohol on this wine is 13.5, and when we think about like the body of the wine, we go back to what Shen said about the acidity being medium plus, and the tannins, they're there, but they're soft. And with the alcohol being 13.5, this really comes across as a medium-bodied wine. This is not big by any means when you're thinking about the styles, the range that Nemean wines can be.
For the finish, I get in the low 20 seconds or so of a pleasurable flavor lasting, which is very respectable, so I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, again, this is their entry-level wine, and to have everything that we just said, all the different flavors and aromas, a solid 20-second finish for $19, I'll take that every day. And really, you know, for pairing this wine with food, because of the high acidity and the lighter body that it has, you can go a lot of ways. I mean, if you're using anything with like cherries or strawberries, this is wonderful. High acidity, can work with poultry or even lighter, you know, red meats, but a fun entry-level version of Nemean wines. Now it's time to taste some wine, and I'm joined by my lovely wife, Shenandoah. We're going to be drinking Domaine Scorance's 2014 Grand Cuvée Neméa. This is 100% Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko, and this is Domaine Scorance's next tier up from the St. George that we tried with them for this same article.
Wow, these aromas just jump out of the glass. I'm getting cranberry and violet. There's tobacco and anise.
So I get some, you know, red cherry and some blueberry and also a little bit of baking spices. But really what I'm loving right now is the earth. And that's starting to show me that based on this being a 2014, it's evolving. The tertiary flavors are coming through, and that matches the tobacco that Shen mentioned earlier. So yeah, a lot of fun evolution of this wine.
For the acid, I'm definitely feeling my mouth salivating. I mean, it's a solid medium plus acid. However, the alcohol, and it was a medium, coming in at 13.5% ABV.
So tannins here are medium plus, but they are elegant. I mean, this isn't an astringent medium plus on the tannin. It is soft and smooth, but they're there. So definitely some newer oak, which you'd expect because this is, you know, a higher quality wine. But because of the aging that is broken down, so the tannins are there, but it's just not like a punch you in the mouth. It's just smooth and really well done.
And given, you know, there's tannins plus the acidity and the alcohol, I mean, this is a very pleasant medium-bodied wine, very well balanced, very delicious.
Finish about low 30s, which is really an excellent finish for this wine.
As far as food pairings go, I mean, yeah, very good wine, so therefore I'd want to showcase, you know, some of the flavors that are so strongly represented in this wine. So perhaps some duck with a cherry sauce, or you could embrace the earthiness of this wine with, you know, some like mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned before, this is the next tier up for Domaine Scorance, and while the St. George is a great entry wine to this, this is something special, and especially this vintage where we really are getting the tertiary flavors. This is a lot of fun, and this came in at $33. I would happily buy this and showcase this to people for that value. I mean, you're getting so much for that price. This is an excellent, excellent wine. We're going to taste some wine. I'm joined by my lovely wife, Shenandoah, and we have Pavelou Estates 2016 Single Vineyard Selection Nemean wine. And I want to give a quick shout out to the importer, R&R Selections, who is a local importer here in Dallas, Texas. Thank you for bringing these wines in. They specialize in Greek wines, and this is just an amazing example of what their portfolio has.
A lot of fun notes on the nose for this wine. Getting some cinnamon, even some lavender.
On the palate is a dry wine, and have some great like black cherry, mushroom, licorice, and even some asparagus.
The tannins are high on this wine. My mouth is coated. Still very pleasant though. I mean, it goes along well with the high alcohol you're getting in this wine. It's a 14.5% ABV.
Now, my mouth is salivating like crazy, so I know that we're still dealing with high acidity, even though there is the high tannins and the high alcohol. And with those three components all being so high, this really does come in as a full-bodied version. And as we talked about before, you know, the range of Nemean wines being from light and kind of just easy approachable to big, full-bodied, this is definitely the latter side. And
the finish on this is very impressive. About 33 seconds. It's big and bold, and I mean, it just lasts.
If you're gonna pair this with food, you know, this is when you're bringing out like the bigger dishes, you know, the classics, any kind of like steak or lamb. This can work with richer sauces. The high acidity is gonna play well with a lot of different things, but because of the full-bodied nature, because of the tannins, you don't want to just totally engulf your food. So make sure that's big enough to last or to match a big wine like this.
And I mean, coming in at $24, this drinks very well. If you're going over to a friend's house and they, you know, like those big, bold wines and you just want to introduce them to something they've probably never had before, this would be a really cool wine to bring.
We love seeking out unique wines that don't get enough love. Greek wines in particular definitely fit this profile, and especially wines from Neméa from their star grape, Ah-yor-yeé-ti-ko. We love these wines because of the high acidity and really the fruit forwardness, especially the medium bodied wines are just right up our alley, but we can appreciate the larger, bigger, bolder, more tannic styles as well. And that's what makes this a fun grape for you to explore, because you might love a version that's a little bit lighter compared to someone else who loves a bigger one. And what a wonderful thing that this grape in this region can provide both of those for you. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about Neméa, we have a full write-up on our website, tequatavern.com. And if you liked this video, please subscribe here. And if you'd like to see other videos just like this, please click here. Thanks for joining us.